Transcending ego. What is ego? From whence has it come? And what do I do about it? Let's just start with a nice little easy intro. Ego is sin. Ego is sin. You might say, James, now careful. My ego is my amigo. No, it is not. Your ego is not your amigo. And if there's a part of you that you say is your amigo, and if it's helping you, it ain't the ego. The ego is the anti-happiness mechanism. It is desperate and separate, and it thinks it's you, and it's hijacked your survival instinct to perpetuate a state of separation and desperation. If you wonder why you've ever blown a perfectly good relationship, why you've been attracted to the wrong people, why you've blown good opportunities, why you haven't taken action, I'm telling you, the enemy is within, and it is called your ego. Welcome, my name is James MacNeil. I am the author of Pure Spiritual Intelligence, a metaphysical success mastery program to help you to tap into the spiritual realities, to help you live your best possible life as your best possible self. And your ego is not your amigo. So let's begin. What is it? From whence does it come? How to best manage it? How to best identify it? And I'm going to do this as efficiently as possible. Here we go. Number one, your ego is a pathological mental illness. You might say, no. I'm just talking about what the psychiatrists, psychologists, psychoanalysts, and psychotherapists said, and I'm not one of them. I'm just reading what they write. So not all of them would agree with anything, but many of them agree it is a pathological mental illness, and it was formed at a state of childhood development. It is formed in a desperate quest to understand, who am I? And it hits around the age of 2. That's why we call it the terrible twos. When a child realizes there are people in control of this universe that I'm now in, and I'm not one of them. I want to learn from them how to be in control of this universe. And they begin to attempt to exert authority and power over pets and toys and you and me. And all of a sudden, something happens to that beautiful child when they hit 2. And so many call it the terrible twos. It's part of development. Now, for some children, they experience an abnormal amount of drama and trauma, a highly egoic environment. Their ego comes on sooner, comes on stronger, and can have a greater grip on their entire life. For those who who grow up in a safe environment where it's nice and it's loving and it's safe and it's open and it's healthy and it's non-dramatic, those children have a very gentle egoic experience, and the ego may never rule them. And so the onset of the ego may come later, and it may never truly have its grip on those people. Many people who grew up in a dramatic, environment, they may have a more accentuated ego experience, and it may affect their entire lives. So you can think through your life and say, the first 2 years, the first 7 years was my life filled with love and joy and peace and unicorns and happiness and rainbows? Or was your childhood in an environment where there may have been some drama, some trauma, some less than loving energy, some racism and sexism and all that kind of stuff? Is it possible that you were given, in reaction to your environment, a stronger than necessary ego? And the chances are yes for many of us. Okay, so the ego specifically is a child's need for identity. So at some point, a child goes from this blissful existence of, look, a butterfly, look, ice cream, look, mommy, daddy, look, puppy dogs. Everything is happy, right? Other than, wah, I need my diaper change. But a baby is mostly like zen and happy and trusts everybody and trusts everything. And it's like, let's be happy. That's the beautiful reality of a child until about this phase. Now, when a child hits about the age of 2, depending on your spiritual beliefs, my belief is a child has had a spiritual experience, an identity pre-existent of their physical reality. So I believe we existed before we entered into our skin. I believe we were sent on a mission. I believe we accepted our mission. I believe we came here from a place that you might call heaven. And for those of you who have issues with that, questions about that, I'm happy to dialogue and keep the questions coming in. Always love, comment, share, but mostly comment. Like, just tell me what you think, and we can battle it out, and I can explain more fully. So around the age of 2, a child has now become consciously aware of their loss of something called VIP, vision, identity, and purpose. They don't know what they want. what they want. They don't know why they're here, and they don't know who they are. Now, vision and purpose, we can manage over time. We can be patient. But identity, it is a psychological necessity to have an identity. And therefore, out of survival instinct, we created what's called a surrogate identity, also known as the ego. Now, surrogate is not counterfeit. Surrogate just means a temporary place filler. So let's say I'm hungry, right? I'm hungry. My body says I need vitamins and nutrients. I need something natural and healthy. And I say, oh, great, a bag of potato chips. I'm going to eat a bag of potato chips, also known as papa fritas in Spanish, which they also call French fries, which makes no sense because they're very different food groups and very important distinction. I'm learning Spanish and they've got to work on this papa fritas thing because potato chips and French fries, so different. Some of you people are with me. All right. So if I eat potato chips when my body is craving vitamins and nutrients and things that are important, the body goes, oh crap, he did it again. So think about all of the parts of your body like little workers. They're looking at this thing of potato chips in the stomach. They're like, oh frick, what are we going to do? It's like, okay, well, that's all we got for now. So here's what we can use for energy. Here's what we can use for this. You use that, you use this. Let's make the most of what we've been given. Let's store some of this energy for future purposes. Let's store some of this fat. Okay, and now let's get rid of the rest. And it just simply flushes what it's not useful. But it works with what it's got, right? That's what the body does. It makes the most of it. So potato chips in this story are not food, but they are a surrogate solution to a stomach that's asking for something. And it might hold me over until I get real food, but it is not real food. And if you try and live on potato chips, you're going to find that out. So the ego is a surrogate self-identity, which is fine temporarily until we figure out who we really are. And we form it based on the social mirror. Well, what does mommy and daddy and siblings and school teachers and what does my environment say about me? If they say, you're the cute one, you're the funny one, you're the happy one, you're the mean one, you like broccoli, you hate raisins, you're the dancer, you're the this, you're the whatever. Whatever they tell you, you say, okay, I'll take that, I'll leave that, like a buffet. And you form an identity to survive. Perfectly normal. But remember a couple of things. Number one, it was formed in an ecosystem, an environment of separation and desperation. Separation from its spiritual connection, right? Left heaven is now here. Desperation, I desperately need an identity. So the ego is an identity born in separation and desperation. The challenge then is the ego turns from a surrogate into a counterfeit and it thinks it's you. And it hijacks your survival instinct and it hijacks your genius to protect its ecosystem, which is what? Separation and desperation. Your ego is anti-happiness. Your ego will do everything it can to keep you from stillness and peace and love and joy. It says healthy food is boring. It says healthy people are boring. Natural time with loved ones, formless time is boring. We need to do stuff. We need to have some fun. We got to go get laid. We got to get drunk. We got to get stoned. We got to get something. Something's got to happen. Where we are can't be okay. The ego refuses love, joy, and peace because the state of stillness in love, joy, and peace is death to the ego. And when the Bible says, die to self, take up your cross and follow me, to die to self means to not serve the ego. It is separation and desperation. And so to say, I will not die, I can be still. I will not die, I can have peace. I will not die, I can eat the broccoli and I will be okay. And so when we choose what is healthy rather than the ego triggers, the ego is losing its power and we are finding our true selves and our true freedom. So the ego is not your pal. So how do you know it's the ego, right? If you're wondering, who's talking to me right now? Have you ever caught yourself being angry with someone? Well, who did the catching and who was doing the anger? Your real self caught your ego being angry. See, the soul doesn't have a negative vibe. The soul is filled with faith, which means it is what it is. And the soul is not desperate or separate. It feels the oneness of all living things and oneness with the creator of love. There's a peace with the soul. So when you're not feeling peace, that's the ego. Think about it this way. The ego is an anti-thing. So it associates with anti things, which means your soul thinks about what you do have. Your ego thinks about what you don't have. Your soul thinks about what you do know. Your ego only thinks about what it doesn't know. Your soul only thinks about what it can do. The ego only thinks about what it can't do. The soul only thinks about who's with them, and the ego only thinks about who's not. So if you're saying, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I don't have this, I don't have the thing, and nobody's going to help me. Who do you think's talking? Who do you think's talking? When your soul faces a challenge that it doesn't have all the answers to, when it sees challenges in the world, problems in the world, it says, okay, what's my part in this? What can I do? What do I know? What do I have? Who's with me? And it asks questions about what is and what can be done, where the ego is addicted to separation and desperation. So it only looks for what it can't do, what it doesn't know, what it doesn't have, and who's not with them. So that's a simple rubric to catch yourself in either a spiritual state or an egoic state. Now, how do you manage the ego? Can you get rid of the ego? No, sorry, stuck. We got this frickin' thing forever. Now, what we can do is stop feeding it. And the way we feed it is through, we can feed it by hanging around egoic people, by thinking about and talking about what we don't want, by thinking about and talking about negative. Ooh, here's the best food for the ego. Hollywood. What's the best food for the ego? The news! Yay! Death and destruction all day long, 24/7. That's right. We have more information on what sucks in the world. Let's talk about war and hatred. Let's talk about danger and destruction. Yay! The ego's very well fed. Or stillness, meditation, loving relationships, healthy choices, self-discipline. Have a beautiful life. Feed yourself with death and destruction. Your ego will be happy forever. Feed yourself with love, joy, and peace, meditation, prayer, and loved ones. And you, my dear friend, are killing the ego by starving it. And we can choose healthy choices about our lives. And then all of a sudden, what happens? We become love and light in a world in desperate need. Why is it a world in desperate need? Because so many are enslaved to the ego. So this is the best thing we can do is do not fight the darkness, just stop feeding the darkness. And as we look for what we can do, what we do have, what we do know, who's with us, and treasure that which we currently have and know, to take action on what we can do, this is to live a beautiful life free of the entrapment, the entanglement, and the deceitfulness of the ego, which is addicted to separation and desperation. Be still, reconnect with Source, live free from the entanglement of ego. I hope this has served you. Thank you so much. Again, this is James MacNeil. I'm honored. Please like, love, comment, share, subscribe, do whatever you're supposed to do in this media. But more importantly, comment. Tell me I'm full of crap. Tell me what you want me to talk about. Challenge me, because I'm fearless. Not that I'll win, but that I'll learn, and we can grow together. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your preferences. Let me know what you want to know more about or less about. And I look forward to playing together. Okay, love, joy, peace. Have a beautiful, blessed day.